everyone. Welcome to Into the Light with Laura Louise. My guest today is Sue, and I am so excited about hearing her journey because every journey that everybody goes through, regardless of how tragic it is, they are all absolutely important because it's our own personal hurt, it's our own personal story. And so I'm just honored and blessed that she is willing to come on today and share her personal story about a situation with her mother. And so with no further ado, Sue, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here.
And so tell us a little bit about this situation where you and your mother did not talk for an entire year and what transpired to make that happen. And let's also get an idea of how old you were at this time.
Oh, let's see. My youngest son was about 7. So I was pretty close to 40.
Okay.
Right around there. Okay. And my mother had been given some information that she did not quite understand about my life. And I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say she didn't approve. So she contacted me and asked me point blank. I gave her an honest answer. But as a result, she was not happy. And she took a step back from our relationship. I tried to tell her that it was not as bad as she first initially thought, and that there was no damage being done to my life or anyone that I loved, and that we were just fine. But she didn't seem to want to accept that answer. So we didn't speak for a year. During that year, Thanksgiving came and went, and that was the first one of my entire life I was not invited to my mother's home for Thanksgiving dinner. I went to my in-laws that year and stood outside. It was a cloudy day, and it fit my mood completely. I looked up at the sky and started to cry because I missed my mother so desperately. So it was a very difficult year for me, and I couldn't take the separation any longer. So I decided it was time that we needed to reconnect and understand each other. So I sat down and I wrote a letter. It was a lengthy letter. I also made a decision to take that letter to my mother's and read it myself because I wanted her to hear the emotion involved in what I was saying. That was so important to me, that she understand how much I missed her and how much this didn't need to be happening.
So you wanted her to feel your hurt, your sorrow, your loneliness, the lack of connection. What was the relationship like with your mother before this point?
Oh, before we were extremely close. I grew up, I can't say my mom was my best friend because my mom was my mom. Always and forever.
But needless to say, she was a close mom. She wasn't
she was
the
close.
mom that was always yelling and screaming. She was the mom you could go to if you had problems or
Always.
challenges, and she was the...
Yes, yeah, and she took charge. She was a take charge kind of lady, so, but yeah, we did that. So I went out that day and I read my letter to her and Papa, and I was there for 8 hours, so it was a long day, emotional day. I thought an excellent day. I thought a good start to our journey back towards mother and daughter and a close relationship again. Unfortunately, shortly after that, I got a phone call from my sister-in-law. And I asked her if today was not a good day to please call me back at a different time. And she insisted, I had to speak to me now. So when I finally gave in and spoke to her, her response to me was, she wanted to know why I hurt my mother the way I did. And I went, excuse me? You're asking me why I went and spoke to my mother to try to mend our relationship? I don't think that's any of your business. We were spending time together in order to understand what happened and to move forward from it. So it was not her responsibility nor any of her business to interject her feelings into my relationship with my mom. Now, my mom and I made our way back to each other. It took a little while, but slowly and surely we became just as close as we did before. Mm-hmm. We did things together. I would go out and just spend the day with her at home. Doing nothing but talking and listening to music, maybe watch a movie. whatever. That's very important. And she's very important to me. She's been gone now, it'll be 15 years this November. So a long time, but I miss her terribly. I think about her all the time, and I really wish she was still here.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, so obviously we all do things in our life where our parents get angry. Trust me, my list is long. So you did something in your life where your mother stopped talking to you because of some behavior that you did during that year of silence, so to speak. What were you doing? What were your feelings? How did you even live in your own skin for that whole year when you had a mother that you were so engaged with, and now there was this silence? Talk a little bit about that.
Looking back in time, I mean, we're going back a long time.
It's not that long, come on.
Yes,
what they say, 70's the new 40, 90's the new 30, the more you are in your senior years,
well,
somehow it corresponds to younger years.
As I said, raising a family, I have 2 boys. My boys are 9 years apart, so my youngest was very young at the time. So I threw myself into my family, into my kids and my husband, and working full time as all of us do. And of course there were moments and days that I would miss her terribly, and I would sit down and I'd write something. I started journaling a little bit then. Unfortunately, I didn't continue it. I should have, and I keep telling myself I need to do more. I've started many times over the years, but I don't seem to be consistent with it. So, but yes, it just I just had to. But that's why I made the decision that I needed to do something myself to make towards steps of making up.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't feel I did anything wrong. I did not do anything wrong. I told the truth when she asked me about it, but in her mind it was wrong. So I can't change the way she thinks. I just have to accept who she is, and she's from a different generation than I am. My husband's 5 years younger than I am, so he's kind of opened my mind and my horizons to seeing things with a much more unlimited view, I have to say. He really, really has. So, I forgot what we were saying.
That's okay. So one of the things that I want to point out is what Sue said is during her hurt, she filled it with her family. She filled it with work. It is so important that she was going through a loss, right? Even though her mother was still alive at the time, she was suffering a loss because of an action she did that her mother didn't appreciate. Therefore, there was a divide. So she did what a lot of us do, which is we find something to fill that hurt with. And correct me if I'm wrong, did it work? Did filling the hurt work?
It to an extent.
To an extent.
To an extent, because you can't replace your mother. You can't replace the love and the connection, the closeness that a daughter feels with her mother. And I was extremely close to my mother. I shared her with a lot of people because she had such a big heart, and everybody called her mom. I mean, all my friends, my brother's friends growing up, even as we became adults, our friends called her mom. So she was always so giving, but more detail. That's what someone told me, that I overshare, and that's why I forget lose my train of thought. I do that all the time. So I forgot which direction I was going in.
That's okay. We're talking. So one of the things that they teach, that we teach, is that you cannot fill hurt. Because eventually you came to a point where that didn't work anymore. You needed to go and rectify this situation with your mother. So what I want to point out is that when you know that something needs to be forgiven, where there is a divide and you know that there needs to be reconciliation, you're not going to find the void that you can fill. You're not going to shop enough. You're not going to throw yourself into work enough. You're not going to raise your kids enough. Eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to say it's not working. This isn't working. I miss my mom. I miss being able to pick up the phone and call her and talk to her.
Exactly. So many times. I can't believe that you said I didn't even think of that before, but so many times, because I talked to her all the time. If there was something special or even tragic that was going on in my life, I called my mother, and I couldn't do that. I didn't feel I could do that. And I didn't quite understand why she didn't reach out to me and try to make things better. But that's why I decided I had to do it. I had to.
So in that 8-hour day, was this one of the things that came up? Mom, why didn't you reach out to me? How could you let me just twist in the wind? Don't you love me?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of felt that way a little bit. But no, at that point when I went out there that day, we talked about everything. And I answered each and every question with complete honesty, which is what I believe in anyway. So that's who I am. But we cried, we laughed, we raised our voices slightly, but not for very long, either one of us. There was a lot of understanding, I believe. A lot went through each other. And when I left that day, I felt this was good. We hugged, we told each other we loved each other, and I thought, okay, this is a first step and we're going to move forward. But the day didn't actually, like I said, didn't end up that way. So
yeah. So you talked about this sister-in-law that kind of butted her nose somewhere it wasn't supposed to be. How did that affect the relationship with your brother? Well, my oldest brother, I use names?
If you wish.
I mean, you can just say my oldest brother.
My oldest brother, and I have not been that close over the years. He tended to choose his wife over the rest of the family under any circumstances. So I never was able to count on my brother to be on my side when it came to a disagreement with his wife and myself. I knew that for a fact. To this day, this will tell you how close I am with my brother. He moved out of state and I didn't even know it until he was gone. He moved and I had no idea. So we don't have a relationship. It's not that I don't want one, but he's in another state. He really has a full life without us, and we just learned to accept that. So, but no, he didn't help in any way with my sister-in-law. If anything, he made it more difficult because I always knew he would side with her, no matter what.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you also said that your mother has passed away, which we know is another traumatic experience. And a lot of times when we suffer a loss, we go back and we have remorseful thoughts about, this year that you kind of lost in addition to after she passed away. How have you kind of dealt with some of that? Like, I know that you've shared with me on a personal level that you wish you could have got that year back.
Yeah, a year is a long time.
It is a long time.
Especially when it's with someone that you love and they're not in your life. But, we have to just move forward and accept, and that's what I did. Really, that's all I can do, is just move forward and accept what happened. Because I couldn't change her mind. Even with all the conversations and the truth-telling, she really didn't change her mind about how she felt. And that's fine. And so we just, at the end of it, agreed to disagree. And I'm going to live my life, you live yours. It won't affect you in any way, so let's just move forward. And we did that. And I love her more than anything, so I was able to forgive with no problem when it came to my mother.
And how did you go through that forgiveness? I mean, I know you talked about journaling, because so many people out there, they ask.
I prayed.
How do you forgive?
I prayed. That is really the only way I've ever been able to forgive, is through God's grace. Because, and the only way I've ever been able to deal with extreme trauma in my life, when things have happened that I have witnessed or participated in that was extremely difficult and I couldn't seem to move on, I prayed. And I would pray. And I would ask the Lord to just take it out of my head, take it out of my heart, that I need to move forward. And more times than I can count, that's exactly what happened. So
that's good. So it's almost even like you were playing a loop in your head about forgiveness. You didn't want it. It wasn't something you wanted to, keep that cycle going. So the more you prayed, the more you just kind of looked at your life as, I want to forgive. God, help me forgive.
Yes.
And so the loop, but instead of that negative loop, I'm angry, you really went into the positive loop of, God help me, I don't want this, I'm willing to forgive, show me how, give me a heart.
And I need to do that more today.
Don't we all need to do that more today?
I do.
And for those that maybe aren't Christian, let me just say that even speaking words out, words have power. Another little fun thing is words are wands, right? So if you want to change your life, you need to change your words. You need to change your thinking. So we start with our thoughts. Changing our thoughts. Instead of holding on to the anger, we start thinking about, what could my life look like today if I forgave, or if I let it go, or if I filled my heart with love, right? And then we start speaking it. I refuse to be angry today. I refuse to let hurt and disappointment rule my mind, my words. I am a woman of faith as well. So many times I find myself standing in the mirror in the morning saying, I am courageous, I am bold, I am a forgiver, I am above and not beneath, I am here to make a difference. And through these words, just even if you stand up and say some of these I am statements right now, you feel better.
I can see why.
You feel better.
You do.
And don't get me started on that superhero pose. I am Wonder Woman. So it's so important, right? Forgiveness is so important.
And I know we chatted a little bit before we started, and I know that forgiveness is more for myself or for the person that's doing the forgiving rather than the person you're forgiving, because it's taking back your power. And I understand that, but there's a certain point when you're young and you don't have the life experience that some of us have now, or don't listen to your elders, which you should do more often.
Listen to your elders. We've been there and done that. I know you think that we're just old crotchety people that like to point the finger, but we've been there and done that.
Yeah, see, well, with all this now, I forgot my train of thought, so. That's what happens when you get old, too.
The power of forgiveness and why it is so important. That's what we were talking
about. Exactly. Well, that's the whole premise of our visit today.
It is the whole premise. Everything about my life is the power of forgiveness. Did you hear? There's power in forgiveness.
Oh, there absolutely is. Absolutely is. And in my personal life, if I was unable to forgive certain people, I'm not sure I could have moved forward at all. I would have really been stuck emotionally. It just would have been very bad. There was a lot of anger. So I was able to forgive and forget enough, not completely, but I no longer had that person in my life. And that's just something you should also be very aware of. You can forgive someone, but it doesn't mean you have to have them in your life again.
No.
You can learn from that experience, and you can be a better person for it, but I have those in my life that I have forgiven, but I no longer see them, and that's best. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some more. She has another story about some jewelry that you will not want to miss, because this is really important. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, Laura Louise here. I hope you are having a wonderful experience watching the stories of so many people with such diversity, everything from abuse to heirlooms and just kind of everything in between. And I am looking forward to even more stories to help with all of you out there to connect, so that you can see that there is healing and there is forgiveness no matter what you have gone through. My journey in this world is to break through all of the unforgiveness in people's lives so that they can get out of spiritual prison and live the happy, healthy life that you were destined to live. You are loved, you are powerful, and you are an endurer, and you can do this. I know many of us don't like to go back and look at what happened to us because we want to shove it down in our basement, our dark basement, where we want it to stay. But unfortunately, it doesn't stay there. It manifests through how we act and how we see things in life. But when you're healed from the inside out, and it's beautiful. If I connect with you, if you feel like you want help, you feel like you need a mentor, you feel like you need a cheerleader to help you through your journey, I want to work with you. If you're interested, on my website, I have a 30-minute free consultation where we can talk about your specific struggles. You can ask me some specific questions, and hopefully we will work together. My web address is www.earlychildhood Into the Light with LauraLouise.com. Please go on. If you're even thinking about it and you're just like, what would this look like? What would I have to do? It's easier than you think as far as what you do, but your emotional journey is going to be challenging. But there's beauty and there's a stress, almost stress-free. I'm not going to say stress-free, but how you handle life is so different. There won't be as much anger. There won't be that rage. You won't be isolated and lonely. There is true healing on the other side, and I want you to experience it. Go on my website, schedule your 30-minute free consultation, and let's get started. Your life is waiting for you. Have a great day. Hi everyone, welcome back to Into the Light. My guest today is Sue, and she just shared a personal story about a time in her life where her and her mother didn't speak for an entire year because of a behavior that she did that her mother did not agree with. And we've all been there where we've done something that has angered our parents, but come on, really not talking to your children.
At 40?
At 40, no less, yes, which is why I wanted that, because when she was telling me that story, I thought she was closer to like 20, 19.
40.
And so, see, I created something in my mind and I wanted the actual truth about what that was. So imagine being 40 years old and your mom all of a sudden says, that's it, your behavior is not something I want to deal with, you are dead to me.
Basically.
And then you're like, but wait, I've been doing this my whole life. Now you're going to get this angry? So there was a lot of hurt, disappointment, anger behind that. However, today we have another story about jewelry. So as we said before, Sue's mother had passed away and she had lots of jewelry, and there was a particular something that was supposed to go to Sue, and there's some hurt and disappointment and maybe a little anger around this particular story, even still a little bit today. So we're going to dive into this story and hopefully come out the other side with maybe a couple of action items and hopefully a little more peace than this side of the story. Okay. So Sue, tell us about your story.
All right. Well, I know most of you know that when you lose a loved one that there are things left behind, and you might consider them heirloom jewelry because they're are pieces that have meaning in your life and in the person that wore them before you. So my mother had promised me her wedding rings for obvious reasons. I'm her oldest daughter. Can't say only. Oldest daughter. And as I said, we were extremely close, so the wedding rings were supposed to be mine. When Mom passed, my father, I was going to say stepfather, but I don't like calling him that, Papa, was dealing with dementia, okay? And my mother was the love of his life. He had been in my life from the time I was 5 years old. They didn't marry until I was 23. So that was a long time he was in my life, even before he became my mother's husband. But so losing my mom, I was trying to be respectful of his grief and not go out too soon and start going through my mother's things. But one Saturday he called me before I had made plans to go out and said his daughter and granddaughters were coming out and could he give them some of Mom's jewelry. And I felt at the time that the jewelry still kind of belonged to him. And you know what I mean? Because he bought the jewelry from my mother over the years. She bought some for herself too, I know that. But yeah, I just felt like I didn't want to go and become a scavenger and go through things too soon. But when my sister-in-law went out, her and her daughters went through, and of course I told Pop, I said, whatever you want to give them is up to you, as long as it wasn't promised to somebody else in the family. And with his dementia, I don't think he actually remembered or knew what pieces were what.
Okay, let's stop here real quick. For those that don't know, tell our viewers what some of the symptoms are of dementia. Like, why is this prevalent to this story?
Oh, well, dementia it makes them forget, obviously. And he doesn't remember day to day. Short-term memory is really bad. Look, he can remember things from years and years ago, but short-term. And so he doesn't remember. He just doesn't understand it. There were days, even shortly after this, that he called 911 because he saw himself in the mirror and thought there was an intruder in the house.
Wow.
So, I mean, and my stepsister, I believe, knowing this, she knew her father had dementia, took advantage of the situation. And I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that even a young woman in her late teens, early 20s would choose a wedding ring as your piece of your, whatever.
Because a wedding ring, really, let's face it, they're not as fashionable as some of the other stuff, right?
And it was the largest piece in the collection.
Yeah. Well, there is that.
I mean, give me a break. And the fact that it's not so much the money or the value of the item, even though I know it was up there. But my mother wore a solitaire diamond ring for the most of my life that he gave her. Years later, she got what I think they call a ring guard or something, where she puts it in a sleeve and it made it even larger and gorgeous and beautiful and all that. But it's very special to me. My mother and Papa were very special to me. They were both married previously, but they were the love of each other's life. There's no doubt about it. They were together till the day they died. And he was lost without her. He was absolutely lost without her. So, but yeah, when my sister, so when I realized that the wedding rings were gone, when I finally went out to my mom's, and I called my sister, my stepsister, I say sister-in-law, my stepsister, and I asked her, I described the ring, and she goes, oh, well, I'm not sure, let me check. And when she called me back, she said, yes, one of her daughters had the ring. And she said, I can't exactly ask her for it back. Now,
okay, notice this is a stressful moment because Sue realizes that she didn't use her voice.
I didn't.
She wanted to say, yes, I would really appreciate if you would ask her to give me this ring back. But instead, what came out of your mouth?
Instead, what came out was, I understand. It broke my heart, but I don't know why I did not stand up for myself and use my voice and say, I'm sorry, Kathy, but that ring was promised to me and it means a lot to me and I would like you to give it back and take something else. I don't know, but I didn't.
And was there a lot to choose from? I mean, could they have taken something else?
Yes. It might not have been a ring, who knows? But my mother had lots of diamonds and emeralds and various things. So, but I didn't do that and I regret it. And so that's part of where the anger comes from. I'm angry at myself at times too. We're complicit in some of the situations that we find ourselves in. And so when looking back, in order to find forgiveness, you have to understand your part in it. And that's what I did. That's what I've done in the past with some people that I was able to do that. So yeah, that's why.
So I love the fact that Sue right now took responsibility for herself. As much as she wants to put 100% blame on either Papa for, giving the ring, or the lady, the sister-in-law who took advantage, or maybe not, who knows, because I don't know.
But the granddaughter.
The daughter of this one. I mean, there's so many people involved, right? But the truth is that, Sue also realized that she didn't do her part in this. She needed to say, wait, time out. That was promised to me and my mother wants me to have it. So yes, please, can you please get it back? It didn't have to be a fight. It didn't have to be an argument. But for some reason, the little voice inside of her was screaming, but she didn't do what her internal voice was telling her to do, which is one of my things. Listen to your internal voice. It is telling you what to do. Sometimes it screams, sometimes it whispers, but we need to listen to it. Because how many years ago is that now? 15, 20 years ago?
15.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Do we see that there's maybe still a little bit of unforgiveness and hurt?
Well, it's not so much the unforgiveness as I still feel the hurt.
The hurt.
I feel the heartache is what it is. I really do. That's where I feel a heartache that this happened, because I know my mother would have been so disappointed in the whole situation.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about how we can help our viewers moving forward with things like this. So for example, a will, right?
yeah.
Very important that if you have certain things, and especially if you've promised them to other people, we don't know what's going to happen once we're gone. We don't know what's going to happen to our spouse. I'm sure her mother didn't think, well, my husband knows my wishes, therefore I know it's going to take place.
Exactly.
She did not think about what if he gets dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever the things that can happen that make somebody not of their full faculties, right? You don't think about those things because they had such a full life that they knew each other very intimately. They knew what was given or what was supposed to go where, but unfortunately health issues were the thing that got in the way of this.
Yeah.
One of my personal story is my grandmother. She had a piece of jewelry that I wanted so badly, right? And so I basically told her why it was important for me to have it while she was alive. So I basically said, you can see my excitement, you know, you can give it to me for Christmas and see, you know, my lights light up. And I'm the kind of person, I was very much traditionalist when it comes to passing things on. And I kept saying, I'm the oldest granddaughter, I'm in the bloodline, you know who I am as an individual, I'm more like my grandmother than probably any of the other grandchildren.
I think she's right about that.
Yeah, and so my grandmother actually did. She gifted me a piece of jewelry that I absolutely adored, and I was so excited. And even in hearing Sue's story, we were kind of talking about this before getting on camera today, I feel so blessed that I actually let my voice be heard. Not only let my voice be heard, but I negotiated why my voice had value. Because now my grandmother got to see the joy. She knew exactly where it was. She got to see me wear it. She got to experience my joy while she was still here. So that's another something I would highly recommend for those that want to make sure that their things go to the people they want them to go to. See the joy while you're still here. If you're not using it, give the china to the granddaughter or daughter that wants it, or the jewelry. You can't wear it all, right?
Yeah.
So just go ahead and bless your family while you're still here, so you have that joy, that internal joy that you can even just, you know, resonate with and know that you made a right decision and know it's going to the right people.
Exactly. Yeah. I like that.
So good, right?
I like that.
So in this forgiveness journey, so we were kind of talking about a couple of things before the show today, and I basically think that there were two things that Sue can do, right? The first thing is you can go back and try to find this person who has the ring and ask for it. And she said, no, that's absolutely not something that she wants to do. Okay, fine, check, that's not it. So now the other thing is, you have to come to your place of peace. You have to just let it go.
And I pretty much have, unless, well, things trigger the thought. But I believe I have forgiven my stepsister, really. I mean, and of course my step niece would not
even know.
Yeah, she probably didn't even know, you know. So I never blamed her whatsoever. But I do feel like I have forgiven my sister-in-law. My sister. See, I keep doing that. I do need to forgive my sister-in-law, but I'm there yet.
So, a different person. Apparently, there's a Freudian slip in there. More forgiveness as we dig in the weeds.
Yeah, my stepsister. So, but I don't see her. They chose not to and be involved. And when her dad passed, then that was a good enough reason to never hear from them again. So, you know, so that's fine. Like I said, look, I have to, at times, when I'm dealing with this, I simply say, let go and let God, because I can't deal with it anymore. So if it creeps back in, which it does on occasion, I that's my mantra.
Mantra.
Yeah, mantra. It's let go and let God,
go and let
because
God.
I cannot deal with this. So, and before I know it, it's gone.
That's good.
Yeah,
That is good.
I'm very blessed that way.
And you do have other things that belong to your mother, correct?
Oh yes, yeah, I do.
Okay.
And they're more special because of that, you know. But yeah, there are a few things that I have that I was able to get, and necklaces, you know. So that means a lot to me too.
Yeah,
But,
that's good.
yeah.
That is so good. Okay, so any last thoughts for our viewers on forgiveness? Again, so we are battling this unforgiveness. We're battling, you know, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. So what wisdom do you have?
You'd think I'd have some at my age, wouldn't you?
I think she does.
No. Really, life is too short. I really think that if you can find the way to look into your heart and try and find forgiveness for that person, and remember, it's for you as much, if not more, for you than the person you're forgiving. So, but if you can find a way to forgive and move on, it's healthier, because stress and anger, all it does is manifest diseases in our body. And as Laura knows that I'm a breast cancer survivor, and stress, I think, was a big part of why I got it. I was very fortunate and very blessed. I found it super early. So, and it will be 10 years this November that I'm cancer free. So yay. Well, see, I did it again.
That's okay. Wisdom about forgiveness. How stress enters the body.
So, well, yeah, like I said, it can cause diseases, and none of us need that. So let it go, if at all possible. And like I said, and if you're not a person of faith, as Laura says, you know, and you can't say let go and let God, as I do, you'll find some inner peace, a moment in time. Be by yourself, as we did prior to this interview. Take a few deep breaths, calm yourself, and before you know it, your inner voice, as Laura has spoken about today, your inner voice could give you the answers that you need. So just do what you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, two last questions as we wrap up today. I like to usually ask two questions. So if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would it be?
I've been asked this question over the years, and it's always the same answer. Never stop dancing. I tell myself, Sue, if you have to find a way to dance your whole life, because dancing is part of who I am. It's part of me. It's part of my soul. It feeds my soul, as I think I've said earlier. So I'm now a Zumba Gold instructor, which is Latin music mostly. So I got my dance back because I had to let it go for many years, raising a family like most of us do. And I didn't find ways to keep it in my life. And I should have. I should have found other ways to raise my boys and find a way to fill myself the way I needed to. Because it does. Dancing, it gives me something that nothing else does. So that's what I'd say. Yeah.
So all of our listeners and viewers out there, you need to find what motivates you. You need to find your special happy place. This right here that she just shared, that's part of self-love. When she dances, she is engaging in self-love. It's all about nurturing herself, nurturing her spirit, man, just being free and just letting it flow. And when you're done dancing, how do you feel?
Fabulous.
And
so does everybody else in my class. we all have such a good time, and we laugh, and it's wonderful. So it's so important. And self-love, that's exactly what it is.
Would you say it's detrimental for people to find something that brings them joy?
Oh, they need to find something that brings them joy. Absolutely. Yes. It could be a small thing. It could be bike riding. Who knows? You know, whatever works for you, because it's always different for everybody.
For me, it could be bringing out Grandma's China tea set.
Oh, yes.
I love that. Here's
tea parties.
Tea parties. Love tea parties. I'm a tea party girl. So for those of you that know. Last question is, finish this sentence, I am.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that one. I am loved. I feel that first thing. Okay. I'm a Zumba Gold instructor.
She's a Zumba Gold instructor. And with that, I mean, what else is there? She is the top of what, how we can look at that. She is at the top of her game of self-love because she is doing it to a point of not only perfection, but she is doing it to a point of expert level. She is expertly showing herself self-love.
Well, let's just put
That's good.
Let's just put it this way. At this point in my life, I'm still not done growing. I'm still not done changing and trying to improve on who I am. So I think that's part of why it's happening. Yeah, I still want to help others, and that's something I wasn't able to do when I was younger. So yeah, that's very important to me. But okay, back to the question. I am a wife. I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a business owner.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Those are good.
Yeah, it's a full life. It really is. I love my life.
Yes.
I'm very blessed.
So Sue, we just want to thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for sharing your story about your mom and that hardship, and then also about the jewelry, because a lot of people, it doesn't matter the degree of what, you go through, the unforgiveness, the hurt, the whatever, the life situations will say. There's hurt in all kinds of things, whether it's severe or it's in somebody else's book, minute. We all feel, and we all need to go through our own journey, and it is a journey. It didn't take 5 seconds for her to overcome these things. It takes time, and it takes intent.
Intent is very important.
It takes intent. You have to intentionally want to forgive. I like to say, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, give me a call.
I love that one. That's great.
With that, we just want to say thank you. Bless everyone. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Bye.